The taxi medallion system was built on a simple idea. Cities limited the number of taxis that could legally operate, and that scarcity gave medallions their value. A medallion was essentially a permit. If you owned one, you could drive a taxi, or, you could lease the medallion or sell it on the open market. It was up to you as your medallion. And for decades, the number of medallions in cities like New York barely changed. Meanwhile, demand for transportation kept rising, and that imbalance caused medallion prices to climb steadily for years. In the 1970s, a New York City medallion cost around $20,000. By the late 1990s, about $200,000. And by 2013, they had reached their peak at over $1 million each for a permit to drive a taxi. Many drivers saw these medallions as long-term financial security. They were treated like investment assets and often functioned as retirement plans. A driver could spend decades paying off a loan and eventually lease the medallion for steady income or sell it later for profits, somewhat like housing property. And most drivers didn't buy medallions outright. They financed them with long-term loans, often ranging from $600,000 to $900,000. Others chose to lease these medallions on a daily or weekly basis from fleet owners or other medallion owners. The collapse began with the arrival of rideshare companies like Uber and Lyft. No surprise. Unlike taxis, the rideshare vehicles were not limited by medallion caps. There was no hard limit to how many of those cars could operate, and as a result, New York went from roughly 30,000 yellow cabs to more than 80,000 rideshares within a few years. And that scarcity that propped up the medallion prices disappeared almost overnight. Values fell from over $1 million to under $100,000. Drivers who carried these large loans now held assets that were worth a fraction of the debt they were in, and this triggered a widespread financial distress. Loan defaults increased. Drivers went bankrupt. Some lenders refused to restructure the loans, and the medallion market didn't fail because it was less useful. It failed because of scarcity. It was a scarcity-based system that collapsed because it ultimately met an unlimited supply of ride shares, and that economic foundation of the medallion system couldn't survive, and frankly could never survive again. I found this topic completely fascinating. I was completely unaware. Following a lot of the Mamdani campaign, people talked about rideshare and the economics of the medallion system, and I knew a little bit of a fraction, but I never knew about this absolute collapse from $1 million to $100,000. So I was completely involved in covering this and had a ton of fun researching it. So thanks for watching.